Welcome here today, folks, to another edition of a predictions video on the channel. I'm Keegan Schneider. I'm going to break down drivers, as usual, that you should stay away from, possible dark horse picks, and drivers you should have in your fantasy lineup for tonight's race at Kansas. Again, we have 8 races before the playoffs, so a lot of playoff drama. I think this is going to be a potential for a very great race. We saw a great race in both Kansas races last year, but especially that spring night race. And with this one being under the lights, middle of the week, it should be a lot of fun. So without further ado, we're going to hop on into this one. So drivers you should stay away from. It was really hard to depict what drivers you should stay away from because there's really no consistency as far as drivers that are consistently bad at this track that are in, let's say, competitive equipment. So I think what we're going to have to go off of here is mostly off of recent success. Not so much at Kansas Speedway, but in the last couple of weeks. Drivers that have not had consistent good luck. And I think you look at a guy like Jimmie Johnson, who has just had terrible luck over the last month or so. Johnson has been having fast cars, and you have to assume that one of these days he's going to put a fast car and consistently start to get back in the top 10 like he was for the first half of the regular season. But over the last 4 or 5 races, and he even missed that race at Indianapolis with terrible luck that had nothing to do with in the car and on-track status, with missing the race due to COVID. I just can't, you can't trust Jimmie Johnson too well, although you can trust his equipment. Johnson will get it together by the end of the regular season, but it's going to be a matter of, is it too little too late? He's still got time. He's got about 8 races before the playoffs coming into tonight, and he's still 2 points above the cut line, but you have some drivers below the cut line that are very hungry for great potential finishes, and another one of those drivers is Erik Jones, who I also think is a driver you should stay away from. So Johnson and Jones, drivers you should stay away from, again, not because their equipment is terrible or that their cars aren't fast, but they have just had such bad luck so far this year. It's just really hard to jump on the bandwagon of Erik Jones or Jimmie Johnson, even William Byron for that matter. So I would probably stay away from those 3 bubble drivers tonight. They're going to be trying to fight for stage points for the rest of the year, so they may score a lot of stage points if they're in that position. They will take the points with a late race costing them the stage. They'll take that risk of staying out to score a couple extra points, which could be good for your fantasy team, but again, it's just not a good look as far as their recent success. So those are very scary situations. I would not want to choose those guys. There are plenty of other guys you can have in your lineup. Dark horse picks for tonight's race. There's really 3 dark horse picks that I look at. Aric Almirola has been on such a tear right now. He hasn't had the greatest success at Kansas Speedway, but in those 4 races with Stewart-Haas racing in the 10 car, he does have 2 top 10s, and one of which being last season in the spring race. So he does have success with this package at the track and at this track in general. Again, very inconsistent at this racetrack, but I think if you go off the recent success, they have brought very fast cars to the track, and he has completed those races while finishing in the top 10 consistently. Again, the top 5 streak just came to a snapping halt after 5 straight, but he still finished in the top 10. He's still got great performances coming ahead of him. I'd have to assume stay on that Aric Almirola bandwagon. Another driver that is almost leaning towards the must-have in your lineup. You know what? Actually, I'm going to save him for the must-have. So the only other driver I have as far as dark horse picks go is Tyler Reddick. Reddick has been an off-and-on rookie. Not as hot as what he once was middle of the season until he finished at 2nd place at Texas last week. His teammate Austin Dillon got the win, a 1-2 finish for RCR. I think in some way, shape, or form, they keep that momentum rolling with the 2 drivers this weekend. Tyler Reddick being the guy to finish ahead of Austin Dillon this time. I think he's got the potential for a great top 10 run. I think he's going to be having the potential to score a lot of stage points. Remember, Tyler Reddick, with this same package last season, in just his 2nd career race, he only made 2 starts last season, Daytona 500 and a random race in that spring race at Kansas. He finished 9th place in that race, ran top 10 most of the final stage. And Tyler Reddick definitely had some speed that day. Again, that is a guy in his 2nd career race. He's a little more matured since then. Still in his rookie season, but still matured with a lot of races under his belt coming into this. He's had consistent races this season. Again, coming off of that career best 2nd place finish last week, or this last weekend at Texas. I think Tyler Reddick is a good driver for a dark horse pick. I've been using him a lot in my lineup lately, and I probably plan on using him again here today. Before we get into that, though, we have our must-have picks. So, again, very tough to look at the must-haves. you go back too far, and again, the consistency really starts to differentiate. But these are two drivers I think are must-haves in everybody's lineup. First and foremost, so I'm going to start off with the guy that I had on this list from the start of the video, and that's Chase Elliott. Elliott, of course, got a win here at the racetrack 2 years ago in the playoffs in 2018. He has finished in the top 5 in each of the last 3 races. With that win, a 3rd place finish and a 5th place finish in both the races last year. Chase Elliott also has a top 10 with an 8th place finish back when he raced the 24 car in 2017. So making in the last 5 races, he's got 4 top 10s, and 3 top 5s with a win. Chase Elliott's been the most consistent driver over those last 5 races as far as average finish goes. He's got the best average finish in those last 5 races at Kansas. I think he is going to be a threat to win today. He's been the only consistent Hendrick driver this season as well, so that's another reason I would probably go with Chase Elliott on everybody's fantasy team for tonight's race. You lean towards guys like Ryan Blaney a little bit, but I didn't want to put him into this echelon as must-haves because he hasn't had the statistical success at Kansas. He did score a top 10 in the spring race last season, but outside of that, he really hasn't had great runs at Kansas. I think he had a top 10 back in 2017 in the spring race also, but again, just no consistency to actually have him as a must-have pick, despite the fact that his 1.5 mile performance has been incredible this season. Just hasn't gotten the finishes he's well-deserved. So I would maybe not have him as a must-have, but a possible lineup pick for tonight as well. So I just wanted to give a shout-out for that. Not just because he's my favorite driver, but just because simply I think he will have a top 10 performance tonight, but maybe not a must-have because of that scenario. But another must-have I have in my lineup here tonight that you guys should have is Kirk Bush. Kirk Bush has had a quiet but good season. He's got the 5th best average finish this year, believe it or not, despite the fact he's running in the back half of the top 10 in points. It's because he doesn't score a lot of stage points. That's really the only reason he is that far back in the point standings. He doesn't have a win yet this season, but he is definitely going to race his way in on points, and I think he's going to have another solid performance tonight. On top of that recent success and the success he's had this season, both on finishes and just in recent weeks, consistently getting those top 10s, but his track history in recent years at Kansas as well. He has 4 top 10s in the last 6 races here at the racetrack, and again, he's just one of those more consistent guys, 3 of which are top 5s, by the way, in those 6 races. So kind of similar to Chase Elliott. The difference between him and Elliott is that Elliott has had a win at the track in that time frame, and Kirk Bush has not really necessarily competed for wins, but he will be a driver that will consistently be in that top 10. Again, he was right around that dark horse pick because he hasn't won a race this year, and he's been kind of quiet but good. But I wanted to put him in the must-have just for that reason. Again, he's had great success at the track. He's had decent success this year. I don't see why you can't compete for a top 10 tonight. Now let's look at who I have in my lineup tonight, because it might vary between a lot of other drivers that you might have on your lineup simply because of the amount of usages. Again, we only have 8 races left until the playoffs for this contest, so those usages have definitely been going up and up on a lot of these drivers, so I might be staying away from guys like Harvick and Hamlin here for the next couple weeks, despite the fact they could have great runs. So without further ado, we're going to hop on in, see who I have for the Kansas race tonight. All right, so here is who I will have in my fantasy team here in tonight's race. Now, first and foremost, before we get to that point, here is a look at the team again that I had last week. The reason why you see that 3rd spot empty is because that would have been my last usage for Harvick, but NASCAR, the app, did fix the adjustment that I was upset with after the last race. Again, there was an issue with not being able to actually submit your lineup at the end of stage 2. Again, with 40 laps left in the stage, I had Reddick in my garage. I wanted to move him up ahead of Christopher Bell. He was having a much better day. Of course, Reddick went on to finish 2nd. They did correct it that they just automatically gave you your top 5 best scorers for that day, so we did gain about 1,000 in the rankings because of it, so that definitely helped. And it also prevented you from counting towards any of those usages. So a guy like Kevin Harvick, that would have been our last start with him last year. We have him one more time for these last 8 races, but we're going to stay away from him today, and here will be my lineup for this one. We're going to keep Aric Almirola in the lineup. Again, he's one of the dark horse picks. We got to start using those dark horse picks no matter what. We're getting down to crunch time, so we'll keep him in. Joey Logano's not a bad pick for tonight. Again, he has had some sort of good finishes. Again, just not a lot of consistency this season, it seems like. Not as good as what he was at the very start of the year. So we're going to stay away from Joey Logano, and we're going to look down the list, and we're going to put our other must-have in the lineup here of Kirk Bush. So he'll take the spot there. We have that third spot open as well. That's where we'll put our other must-have of Chase Elliott in the lineup. We're going to keep Ryan Blaney in. He's been fast on the mile and a half this year. We still have 4 usages left with him. I think he's going to perform pretty well today. And we're definitely going to keep Tyler Reddick in the lineup again. He was another one of those dark horse picks that I had. And we still have 8 usages left of him this year, so we're going to keep him in there. Christopher Bell has the potential to have a decent run tonight. The strategy I've been playing with the rookies in each of the last 2 races between the two of Bell and Reddick is just simply whoever finishes, or looks like they're going to have a better finish, I'm going to put that guy in the lineup before the end of stage 2. I was able to do that perfectly last week. The week before, not so much. Granted, again, I got lucked out because of the scoring error, but with the actual app itself, but again, that was adjusted, so that really didn't play much of a factor in the end. I was going to put Reddick in ahead of Bell anyway, so yeah, we're going to keep Reddick in, but Christopher Bell, I think there's other drivers here in the lineup I could probably put. You look at a guy like Kyle Busch, he's starting to get a small bit of momentum rolling here. He looked great at the end of that Texas race last week. I'm going to stay away from him simply because I can only use him 2 more times. Alex Bowman's had great runs here, but Bowman has not had anywhere near any sort of consistency over the last couple of weeks, so that's a little scary to take Bowman. Again, Harvick's on the pole. He'd be a good pick. We're staying away from him. You look at maybe even putting Logano back in the lineup. Keselowski won the spring race last year. He's another decent pick. Not going to put Hamlin in. He's got a small amount of usages also. Benedetto's been having decent runs as of late. Man, this is just really tough to make this garage pick. We might not even end up using this guy, but man, I don't know. I think because it's a garage pick, and I'm so confident that the 5 I have in the starting lineup to start the race will likely compete, and if not, finish in the top 10 tonight. I think I'm going to take Alex Bowman just in case if he does look like he's having a solid night. Comparative to somebody else, we can throw him in, but we don't necessarily have to use him, so we're going to throw Alex Bowman in that other slot. Now our stage winner predictions here. Usually I try to go with drivers I have in my lineup, obviously because we stayed away from a lot of guys tonight that could differentiate over the course of the rest of the regular season. As far as my actual race predictions go, I might have a race winner that isn't in my lineup. But like a Kevin Harvick or Denny Hamlin, something of that nature. But not tonight. I feel pretty confident about this driver to win the race. We're going to play the same strategy we have for the last few weeks. It seemed to work out for the most part. As far as taking the same driver, we have winning the race to win a stage. So even if they win a stage, that's an extra 10 bonus points. Say if they win, all of the stages and the race, that gives me a ton of bonus points there as well. I think it's the safest way to play it. And this guy, I feel confident. He's had the best average finish here, as I mentioned, over the last 5 races at Kansas Speedway. It's Chase Elliott. I think Chase Elliott's going to go to victory lane. Remember, just 8 days ago, he ended up getting the win in the All-Star race. So a little bit of momentum heading towards his side. He usually isn't that great at Texas, but he had a solid run there as well on one of his worst stretches statistically. So I think Chevrolet will go to victory lane as well, because Chase Elliott is my pick for tonight's race. I accidentally clicked Toyota there. We're going to change that up real quick. Yeah, so that is my lineup here once again for tonight. Who is your lineup? Comment down below. Also, who is your possible pick to win the race? Again, mine is Chase Elliott. I will see you guys for a post-race analysis later. We've also got NASCAR Heat 5 action with the Kansas Cup race of our own later today as well, so tune in for that. Should be a lot of fun here to end the night on the channel. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the actual Cup race tonight at Kansas also, and I will see you guys next time. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Hit the like button down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.